My name is Julie, and I'm a Homeworks by Precept consultant, and I'm also a pediatric occupational therapist that I've worked with kids in the schools and privately for many, many years. When I'm at the conventions, particularly when I'm one-on-one with customers as well, but I'm at the conventions, I've had families come up and say, well, what about this handwriting program? I'm looking at this over here, I'm looking at that over there. Why would I want this? And I tell them, okay, well, from a mom's perspective, I love it. From a therapist's perspective, I love it. I wish I could take this into the schools. I wish I could take this into my outpatient clinic and say, here, let's do this. I like this better than what's out there. One of the things that I see with children is that they have a difficult time planning on how they move their muscles, how they place their pencil on the page, how they plan the next sequence of step to write. And with some fonts that they have to write with, so for instance, if you have a ball and stick type of thing, when they're writing, it's difficult for them when they're drawing the line to put the circle, because they have to lift up their hand and then place that. And so a lot of times what you find is that the circle is not attached to the stick, or it's overlapping. And so you have a lot of problems with planning how to write those letters. Whereas with the pre-cursive font, you don't pick up your pencil very often. There's another reason why I like it. Actually, one of the most common handwriting fonts that's out there in the public schools, even private schools, is the use of Danielian, which is similar, but even with that, if you look at their M's, their N's, they still incorporate a ball and stick versus the curve that we have with pre-cursive. The other thing is that they're trying to make the connection for the cursive a little bit more apparent. So at the end of the letters, you have a little curly. And what I've found with kids, especially that have even more difficulties with motor planning, is that suddenly it becomes almost like a spring. It's a big curly. And so with pre-cursive, it's very simple. You just kind of end right about the line, and it's just very smooth. Again, with working with kids that may have motor planning difficulties or fine motor control, what's nice is that those spaces that are given in the work text, I love those. So many times when I'm working as a therapist, I have to give them another cue, like put their finger there, which they might always forget, or put a popsicle stick there between the words. In the workbook here, you already have a shaded area to remind you, okay, you need a space between letters, or you need a space between words. And so that visual is already there for them. It's inherent in there, and I love that. The other part that I love with handwriting in the teacher's editions, in the distance learning, is that it incorporates two different things. Number one, it incorporates that you don't want to take a long time doing handwriting. When you're doing the handwriting, you have a simple passage to copy, or you have a front side of paper to write. It should only take you 10-15 minutes. As a therapist, I know that if a child spends more than 10 or 15 minutes actually writing, their skills of writing go down, and they get frustrated, and they're less likely to want to write in the future, and their motor control is more difficult, and so they struggle with it. And so getting them the next day or the next week or the next month to write is going to be more difficult, and the success rate goes down. The reason why I feel like the BJU Press Handwriting program works well with my children, with other children, is that, first of all, it transitions so nicely to cursive, but it's very simple. It doesn't have a lot of extra curlies at the end. And also, I love that in the print book, especially in your second grade and your third grade, when you're learning how to space between letters, space between words, they have a shaded area on the paper that helps children with spacing. And so at an age when it can be difficult to plan where you're going to put your hand on a paper, where you're going to put your pencil, where you're going to put your next letter, they have that visual reminder to help them, which is really critical.